My name is Victoria Jones. I'm on the customer advocacy team here at Zoho. And we have three customers here who all have really great use cases when it comes to communication and collaboration across Zoho apps and across our companies. We have Jessica Miller, who's the executive director of compliance and systems at Island Practice Management, Yue Yang, who is the analyst director at Spacetel, and Cliff Killingsworth, who is the owner and CTO at Ensec Pest and Lawn. And now that I've introduced them, I'm going to have them all introduce themselves as well. Tell us a little bit about their role, their company, and their history with Zoho. So, Jessica, do you want to get us started?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica. I work at Island Practice Management and Island Psychiatry. So, Island Practice Management is an MSO, which is a managed service organization specifically for healthcare organizations. And then Island Psychiatry is a healthcare organization, specifically behavioral health. So, we kind of get to be a part of both worlds. We're in the administrative world of running a mental health clinic and assisting other clients who we have. And then we have our large mental health clinic ourselves. So we've been using Zoho since 2017 and really just enjoy all the collaboration tools we'll get to start talking about today.
Awesome. And can you also give us a little bit of a rundown of what your collaboration deployment looks like across some of those collaboration apps in Zoho?
So we have clinicians that are in office, we have remote clinicians, our administrators are in different offices or are also remote. So collaboration has been really important for us. So Click, of course, is a huge tool that we use to keep that communication flowing so that someone can be working from home and hit the front desk and it's instantaneous communication. So that has really kept patient services really smooth. We use Connect for kind of our intranet and all our resources are there, and that was a big change for us to have a hub where people can get all their onboarding information, get all of their training, get all of the policies. It's all at their fingertips. So that's kind of when I think of traditional collaboration, I think of the word communication, I think of that stuff. But then also, I would say collaboration for us has also been making sure that the team is on the same page when it comes to operations. And that has probably been the biggest push for us is to make sure that tasks are shared collaboratively across the team. Everyone knows what everyone's doing. Our biggest problem was duplicated efforts and not knowing who is assigned to what, again, because of people being all over the place. And now, due to the tools that we're using, it's a lot smoother.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll definitely get more into a little bit of that spread out workforce issue in a moment. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here. My name is Yua Yang. I am the analyst director for Spacetel LLC. We are an authorized retailer for Cricket Wireless. Um, the company has been with Zoho for about 7+ years. But I have been with Zoho applications for about 3 years now. So, um, yeah, our main communication or platform apps are Click, People, and Zoho Sites. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, and just to give a brief overview, I know that you have a lot of kind of customizations built into your Click use case. Could you give just a kind of an overview of what that looks like?
that is correct. I took Click to kind of the next level, meaning every single day when our team comes in, they do their daily reports. So kind of like in the morning they send out their goals for the day, and we have about 20 group chats going on in and out, and our managers have their own group chats with their team, with their sales rep. So what I noticed over time was when they were reporting their numbers, either beginning of the day or at the end of the day, it wasn't as consistent, meaning if I wanted to go in there or upper management wanted to go in there and take a look at it, they had to scroll through their Click chats, and it was very confusing, or it was just kinda lost in the shuffle. So what I did was, after research, I ended up coming up with the command keys. So these command keys will actually bring up the form that I built or created, and then all they have to do is just enter their number, and these forms get submitted to their respective group chats. So if I have one, I am just sending it to my team. So instead of sending it to everyone in the company, it's just sent specifically to that group chat that I assigned the command key. We do have where HR has their own command keys where they can actually, if someone's out on leave today, then all they have to do is use the command key I provided. They bring up they type in or search for the employee's name, and then and with one push of a button, it automatically gets sent over to the 10 out of 20 chats. Or same thing with time card. Yeah, so an approval. HR utilizes this to set a reminder for our team to submit their payroll or approve their time cards by a certain time or date. I personally have my own command key as well. I created this so that way I could just send um, a message to just the area managers or the managers or even my team. So I restrict where, the text where will be sent to pretty much. Um, so yeah, create these. Yeah, I created these command keys to utilize to cut time in half. Meaning copying, pasting, or forwarding it. So that has saved a lot of time, and the quick messages are very eye catchy because I made it where it's easy to spot when you're scrolling down a chat. So yeah, it's changed a lot. So
Amazing. Thank you so much. And then, Cliff, I would love to hear, about introduction for yourself and then also about how your deployment looks.
Well, I want to thank Zoho for having me, and I hope we have an interesting use case. I am Cliff Killingsworth, a certified pest control operator, and we converted to Zoho Collaboration Suite probably around 2017 after running into admin reprimands from another email provider. I was using a JavaScript to extract work order information and populate templates to send individual forms from our field service people. And they started warning me, hey, you're spamming. And I'm like, look at these emails. I'm emailing my own domain, my own users. And I have never run into any circumstance like that in years with Zoho. So I want to thank them for the second Zoholics because um, they were instrumental in us also being able to continue working while COVID events were taking place. And we were already in kind of a hybrid environment with our office, but with Click and IP based phones, our employees picked up their workstations, plugged in at home, and didn't miss a beat. And so that was very critical to our organization to keep people running. Um, we use email, we use Click hourly in a fashion that I think could really benefit beyond our organization. Um, we see Click really as a fundamental way of supporting our remote field people. So we have one core office, but four or three satellite offices where we may never see employees for months other than maybe some material delivery. And so their form of communication with their manager or even in peer groups is through Click. And it really helps us accelerate new employees where they may just shoot a photo of a circumstance and get feedback right from the team. So if I had to pick one app that I think has improved our organization across the board, it's Click. Um, the hybrid environment for our office has really been seamless. In fact, it probably improved because there's just less water cooler talk. I made a water cooler channel and everybody mutes it. So even when they're working remotely, there's still an opportunity for, dialogue that's not work related that people can choose to participate in when they're isolated. But we also use Connect as an intranet or kind of a Facebook for the company for more permanent things that we want searchable. So a lot of our service lines, we have 3 major service categories and 14 service lines, but some of them are seasonal. And so, there's an easy way to refresh, there's an easy way to look things up and search and um, make it constantly available to new employees to refresher. And we use the inventory app in a warehouse manner. Um, Of course, we use the workplace suite, writer, spreadsheets, and show. And what's important there for us is the asynchronous communication. So we're along the Gulf Coast. We get constant weather. We're in some of the rainiest part of the country, and the weather will come through west to east. And so we'll have a fraction of our organization waiting for weather. And so they're not very productive, right? But we don't want to take meetings across the whole organization when we need to make hay while the sun shines. So we can just distribute information asynchronously and provide them something productive while they're sitting there waiting out the weather and, you know, coordinating rearrangement of their schedule. And um, the click structure is very beneficial to just reaching the right person in that asynchronous manner to get an instant response from the team um, without a heavy reliance on a hierarchical structure that really gives them instant feedback so they can help customers while they're on that job site and move on.
That's great, and you actually, you kinda started, answering my next question, which is about the challenges that are unique to your business when it comes to collaboration. So I know that you mentioned, the weather, asynchronous collaboration, anything like that. Are there any other major challenges that you faced in the past, when it comes to collaboration?
The geographic footprint for our service people is about 5 hours across as you drive it, but it's very cut up. It's in 2 states, so there's different regulatory requirements. We have barrier islands we service, and so what looks like it might be a mile is really 5 miles to drive to catch a bridge. So reaching the right people to know how to support those field service people is important when, as an admin, you can just structure that right in channels or right in the right groups and narrow that information to who it applies to. The features there for that level of collaboration are seamless for those field salespeople, and they may only touch a web interface at the annual meeting. Yeah, they're totally reliant on the mobile apps, and so it's hard to find that level of serviceability out of the technology for blue collar, technophobes, and Click is a big part of the solution there.
Amazing. Thank you so much for walking through all of that. I'd love to hear a little bit about the challenges that your business has faced in the past.
That would be definitely miscommunication processes. That's one of the two main challenges that our company, um, when I first started there, that's what they were facing. Over the years, with all the changes and processes that I helped implement and put in place, especially Click, there was a lot of miscommunication, when important messages were being sent out from management, upper management. So just seeing that when I first started to now, the communication with, we still get, a few lost, miscommunication here and there, but it has tremendously improved over the years, and with people too, with us kind of customizing the operation side, with these forms as well, Zoho people, we have saved a lot of people a lot of time when it comes to submitting their forms, on Zoho People, because we do utilize Zoho People on a daily basis. Same thing with Click. And the sites, we just use it for communication wise, meaning if HR wants to. So we created Zoho sites as kind of like an internal website for our employees. So when we have training videos or HR needs to make an announcement or where they can find an announcement where they can print for their stores. So we actually provide it on there, and they would just go in and they'll find all the videos, training videos, and everything. And then where you have people, we do have it's more structured now, and how the workflows and automation that we put in place, it has truly helped. Yeah, especially with checklists when we set up where they would get a checklist, make sure that the task is done, and also the constant reminders, which truly helps when you're working with 300 plus employees. So those reminders are a lifesaver too. Um, and especially with Click, just using Click for not just what it is, um, being able to communicate with your team through all three platforms and having the ability to integrate all three has been huge. So if we were to create something in Zoho People, I would actually integrate that into Zoho Click. So either or, if they're in Click, they could submit their forms through Click, or if they need information, they can actually find it through Click. If they're not in Zoho People, or and or if they're in sites, they can actually access the links or forms on there as well. So all three apps that we utilize, they're all connected in some way, and mainly it's sourced from Zoho People. So I do ensure that communication is unison. It's spread out on all three apps. It's that was one of the biggest challenge is the communication when it comes to any business. So that yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then Jessica, I know, kind of in a similar vein, you had some unique challenges because of, the healthcare industry and the different kinds of workers. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Am I coming through? Okay.
Mhm.
I think with communication, probably all companies have that issue, but with patient care, it's been definitely something we need to make sure is clear. Click is really great for that because when you're giving an instruction to someone, to be able to just jump on a quick screen share or do a quick click call as opposed to just the written communication, it's unbelievable how much that has corrected miscommunications by just doing that quick extra minute of a let me just jump on a call with you, or can I just show you really quick? That has really helped us in addition to the fact that we can have real time communication reminders like you had just mentioned. So we have all of our appointments stored in the CRM, and so we can have clicks go off or tasks created based on that. So if a patient is coming in at 2 o'clock and a conversation needs to happen with that patient, the clinician can be reminded, the front desk can be reminded so that the clinician starts the conversation, then the front desk supports the conversation by providing the document. And so it's great communication with both our patients and then amongst the team to collaborate to get tasks done. Follow up is also really important in our field. So making sure that when a task is assigned to someone, where does it go from there? So the collaboration of having really clear tasks in the CRM, we have some task boards that were created that someone can grab it. They write the story of where they are, they keep it in a certain status, they, win the lottery and go to Spain for a while, then we can just have someone pick up from where they left off. We have the story, we have everything. So that's a great way that we've been able to collaborate. So that's one thing that I think of when I think of our challenges, is just making sure that there is quick communication when, let's say, there's an emergency. Someone may call and may be in crisis, may be expressing some suicidality. We're in mental health care. And I think that our team did not always feel supported because there wasn't always someone on site that you could say, "Oh, help me. I have this phone call and I really don't know what to do." But again, we have the click feature. So we always have someone who's designated, whether they're at home chilling watching TV, they can quickly get a click or a call. They can jump on the screen shares again. All of this can happen from their phone. So they are able to real time help in these crisis situations without us having to staff our leadership, all the time because we have late hours. So that has been really great in the collaboration, and the team has felt super supported. They said that within 2 minutes, they always get a response, and we only work 9 to 5. So that's great that they're getting those answers.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that also, Cliff, that reminds me of something that we've spoken about a bit, which is the way that you have workers in the field who need really quick access to information that may be with an expert who's not in the field, and having to get that immediate feedback. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think of a couple of circumstances. We had a new hire who had a horticulture degree, but being the new hire, typically they would start out being the one asking questions and getting response from a manager. But so we've made channels that are geared toward the three major service categories that we support with about 14 major service types. And when other employees take a picture or give some other circumstance of what the problem is, it's not necessarily that they don't understand it. It's that you use the team to dialogue about it to try to prevent errors. And the new hire is was quickly identified as, managerial level responses in this support group in a Click channel, that would have been hard to identify in any other way. So it was really helpful in extracting, the tribal knowledge, the institutional knowledge that just isn't on paper anywhere. It's between people's ears. And to watch them support each other, enforce policies, reinforce the things that we want done helps us be less fragile as an organization, to drop a buzzword. Um, it just gives us the ability to give them an instant response on site across people that you don't have to rely on being perfect because they're going to get the team support, right? If if it takes more to diagnose a circumstance, very quickly somebody's saying, "Hey, yeah, we see the brown spot. Go tug on it. Don't do this. Do that." Um, Across their service line, both in the field and in the office. So that new employee, he's not sitting behind a desk giving those answers. He's still in the field. So it really helps extract that employee knowledge and facilitate teamwork that I haven't found in any other format.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really like that that point that you made about collaboration tools really letting an organization become less fragile, more elastic, stronger. I think that that's such an important part of collaboration setups in general that can often get overlooked or underestimated. Um, on kind of that concept of building up these platforms, making sure that they really work for your businesses. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you collect feedback from employees, how you're able to make sure that your collaboration and communication setup really works for the people at your company. Would you like to get us started with this?
Yeah, so before I even begin, any creation of any sorts, either in people or sites or click, I actually do my research first. I research how employees are reporting or how we're reporting our information to the employees and vice versa. So um, once my research and my kind of think outside the box kind of thing kind of you know is done, I guess you can say. I do reach out to the employees and I do get their feedback on what they need or how can we improve um, this. Uh, a specific task or whatever it is. And once I finish building it or doing what I need to do, I do roll it out as a tester, and I do let them know, hey, this is a test. I'm doing this to use if hopefully this will help cut your time in half or whatever the case is. And we actually run a trial through for like a whole. We only we'll grab in like the let's say we'll ask the area managers to run their tests. So it goes through like almost like a few weeks of testing, and then once I do reach out to them and ask them for feedback, if it's how they think of it, if it's a good a good idea or a bad idea, whatever. And and they do provide me with their feedback, and we always at Space so we do take all their feedback and concerns into consideration. So if something's not working, then I'll I'll put that on the side, and I collect as much notes as I can, and then then I do go into work with fixing the problem. So having the employees provide you with their feedback, is extremely important because they are the ones using it. So we want to, even though we are the creators, we want to make sure that our end users are able to use it, and it's easy for them, and it will save them time, because they are busy on the sales floor on a daily basis. So we obviously we don't want to create something where they have to spend 20-30 minutes filling out or or just yeah. So we want to eliminate as much time as we can, so that way they can focus on what they need to do. And one thing that I also helped with this was our our performance evaluations. So we ended up customizing our own um, evaluation form through Zoho People, and quarterly they fill out this form for their employees. The managers do, and then there's a section on there that when it asks us if the employee needs training, all they have to do is just click that box and then enter what the user needs training on, and it gets sent over automatically. It gets sent over to another form within Zoho People. So instead of them filling out one form and they having to go back and open up the other form, this form actually just automatically generates the information, and it gets sent over to the other form. And there's no I forgot, or just kind of they just forget to do it in general. So having just saving them that time, um, they don't have to even do anything. They just have to fill out one section, and then the information gets sent automatically to another form. So, um, processes and procedures are extremely important, especially so just having the employees give you feedback when we're testing all these out is important. So that's part of my job.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, as you mentioned, users really being the ones who are in these apps every day, it being such a big contributor to their employee experience overall, it is a key thing to remember to get these systems to really work.
Because we even though we create it, we don't know. We want to make sure that when they're using these things, they're able to use it, and there's it's simple, quick, and easy.
Yeah, yeah. Making it as easy as possible to do the thing that makes things as easy as possible for every level of management, user, all of that. Um, Jess, I'd love to hear a little bit about your thoughts here as well. And also the way that not only you collect feedback, but thinking about building out these systems as a part of a larger operational system versus kind of separating the operations and collaboration.
Sure. So I think I can just quickly, because I think what UA does is, a big part of what we do is feedback from the team. Try to lay that ground at onboarding. Our onboarding is very hands on. They spend a full day with me to start, and then they'll meet with different leadership team members that go over the different apps and the purpose. And I think what we really try to do is not just teach it to them, but explain the purpose behind each app, why we chose it, and why it does what it does, and open the groundwork for we love ideas, we love feedback right from that onboarding stage so that people feel comfortable making suggestions because we talk about how customizable it is. And I'll give examples of like, this came from someone at the front desk, this came from here. And that helps them, I think, feel more comfortable. I've seen people in their first 30 days start making suggestions of, oh, do you think it could do this? Do you think it could do this? And sometimes the answer is, oh no, we've explored that. And I think it's an open environment where people just, throw it out there. We always talk about pain points in every meeting that we have, every supervision. And in particular, we try to talk about tech pain points because we're really focused on making sure it's efficient as opposed to causing you more work. And I think the problem when companies don't get feedback is sometimes leadership just throw things out there that we think is efficient, right? And then the team doesn't find that. So that feedback loop is super important and early on before you finish it. So we'll show them in stages what's going on, and it always comes from their pain points. And then the second piece you asked me was
Just the thinking about building out these systems, I think you kind of answered part of
operations.
this. Yeah, as an
Yeah.
operations method.
I think I've touched on that a bit today because we don't just think of collaboration as communication, right? And maybe that was our downfall in our earlier years. But we found that we were not having good accountability. We were not having good pickup for tasks when task management. And Zoho has so many ways to manage tasks that we needed to come up with a system to organize that so that the collaboration would be clear. So, since we have the two different sides, the clinical and the administrative, we use the CRM for patient specific stuff. So, that's more of our clinical entities. So, anything that's related to a patient goes into there, and our administrative team will pick that up, or our clinical team, and it gets assigned in there. There's lots of automations that run off the fact that the appointments are uploaded in there every day. So we have all of that information stored in the CRM that can really make that efficient. On the other end, we have Connect, which runs the business a bit more. That's again where we have the policies, we have tons of manuals, but we also are very task oriented in there so that we can keep tasks going for a lot of the leadership and the departmental managers that are moving the business side along and the administrative side that is not connected. So that's how we've kind of figured out to have task management so it can be overseen and kind of keep collaboration going in an operations perspective. Because if you're just chatting but not putting the action items in and the accountability, then your collaboration it falls apart. You need that piece too.
Yeah, it's so tied into every other part of the business. And Cliff, I know that that's also true in your workplace. So I'd love to hear a little from you also about just kind of this mindset of building out communication, collaboration as an operational structure.
I the feedback part from employees is actually much more beneficial to monitor their own dialogue in the channels. So let's say it's office to office, even though they're a hybrid environment with just a few people in the actual office, but many in the office channel. Um, Quickly you can see if somebody's having a problem, and maybe it's something as simple as their internet connection, but it lets the rest of the group know, hey, I'm not in the customer service queue, or those sorts of things. May not need an immediate response from an administrator, or you can fork that to a direct dialogue to them individually and quit bothering the rest of the group. um, what are other circumstances? Field to office, it's hard to know who is basically working at what hours and those sorts of things. I've got a hybrid office staff from Miami to Alabama, and they can just chat to the office group from the field, and our customer service people pick it up just like it's the next customer service request. But with it being in a written format or picture format or whatever, it's asynchronous, so they can prioritize the customer and get to the technician as soon as they can. And by that time, usually another agent has already handled it for them. And, only if it, say, escalates to a technical problem, either like on technology side or on the business side, you'll see a manager step in. And so there's a lot of team support in just having it structured properly in channels and um, I'm trying to think of our most complex scenarios. We're highly dependent upon the phone, and we have a outside provider that's not Zoho that we just integrate into Zoho. And essentially, we reached a point where we really had to escalate what we're doing to support all these other channels. And so I'm the worst kind of administrator. I'll turn on a Zoho feature and give it a whirl and get feedback from our remote staff immediately. Um, so an example might be the desk to click integration. How can I simplify the number of interfaces my customer service staff has to do to support both our technicians and our customers? And turn on a feature and doesn't have the total solution, so take it back down.
Yeah, yeah, Zoho operates in a similar way. When we wanna find something out about a feature, we roll it out, and employees are more than happy to give live feedback right away. So that makes a lot of sense. And then I would love to hear a little bit about what advice each of you has when it comes to setting up these communication platforms. Just kind of Cliff, I know both of you use a lot of different apps across the workplace setup, and so we've talked a lot about Click, but on these other sides also of managing documents, email, all those things. It's a big undertaking. And then you've kind of built out your system really in Click and worked to kind of get the most out of it. So I'm gonna ask each of you what advice you would have for businesses in assessing what the needs are, and then building out systems based on those needs. Jessica, would you like to get us started?
I think for us, we do use now 20 apps. I counted before I came here. And I think that for a business, just trying to get the collaboration to work, don't do them all at once. Figure out how you wanna start working on your collaboration, and I think Click is a great start if you're trying to, smooth out the communication, worry about miscommunications and things like that. Click has great features, so looking into what Click can do, and then how it integrates into other things, and then maybe taking it from there. If task management is a problem, maybe start there, but I think one of the mistakes we made early on was we were so excited. We just like turned everything on and started to build everything in multiple directions. But I think if you want a really good clean collaboration system, thinking again about that operations perspective that we just spoke about, to have a real systematic approach to it and just start with what is the biggest pain point for your team when it comes to collaboration and start there and look at what app or apps may help with that.
Great. Yeah, you wanna take this one?
Um, even though our company only uses 3 apps in the meantime, we w we want we wanted to look at it as, even though all we have is these 3, what can we make out of it? And, with what I do, I actually, you know, pretty much, took what we had and kind of added to it. And so, one thing is, one advice for businesses is never be too afraid to, if what you have is just 3 apps, what can you make the most out of it? You can find ways to do it. Think outside the box. Don't be afraid to, try it out. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. So, um, with the company, with the apps that we have at the company that I work for, we did that. We took one simple thing and then we added to it. And so just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to, try things out, and reach out to, I do reach out to Zoho support for help, when it comes to these things too. So, um, the just do what you can with what you have, and, build from it if you need to.
All right, Cliff.
Zoho is the cheat sheet because, yeah, there are a lot of apps. We're Zoho One licensed for 59 users. And what we'll do is, um, let's say we need to share some information or even get confirmation that all of our employees have received this information and give us an acknowledgement. The apps really let you talk between them in a format that I haven't found in any other way. I used to run some open source software on like DigitalOcean and other things, but that integration level is very hard to replace. An example: we might write a document in Writer, and rather than share across email, because none of my field employees monitor their email, we rely on Click. You can just copy the URL, paste it in Click, and if you need an acknowledgement of that, you can enforce those kind of things in Connect. So we have a general priority that Click is going to be that constant chat stream across the whole organization. You only share the channels that are relevant to those people, and then if it needs to be more permanent, we put it in Connect. And then if we need acknowledgement or even signatures, the apps are all there, but you can distribute across this remote user base right and click almost effortlessly. And, even our technophobic corporate staff can do it, right? Zoho lets these cavemen have access to all these tools. And so, it's hard to claim credit for it, but I will.
Somebody has to claim the credit, so happy to have it be you. Um, awesome, and I'm going to ask one last kind of we'll do rapid fire question. I would love to hear from each of you the number one benefit that you've seen from building out your collaboration and communication tools at your company. And Cliff, we'll get started with you.
The number one problem that it really helped us solve was immediate answers for a remote work base. We really have to prioritize what's happening in the field and read and react to that at the administrative level, at the customer support level, and at the corporate level. And it's hard to find a way to collect that information as, I won't say affordably, as value based from all these mobile devices with users that need it to be very convenient and easy to understand, and and then give them an instant answer, because we're kind of high volume, low ticket price for most of our services, right? They're highly reoccurring, and so they can't spend a lot of time on site. They need to get an immediate answer, solve the problem, and be able to move on. And I used to run some open source chat versions that didn't allow the integration, or um, just wasn't as easy to solve, because really all those other pieces are solved in the Zoho ecosystem. And and if you have to reach out and find somebody that has the technical means beyond our capacity, that's easy too. So
Amazing. And then you, what would your number one benefit be?
Just being able to do what we do, on a daily basis, communication, being able to communicate, throughout all three apps, like as Coach said, it's all about integration. So being able to integrate all three and having good communication spread out within all those three apps. Um, that would be number one.
Amazing. Jessica?
Can I cheat and just say our business improved? Because I feel like having that real time information now, patient care went up, patient satisfaction and patient outcomes went up. Our staff are feeling more supported. So I think that in general, that real time communication was the key to just improving processes overall, and everyone is happy on both sides.
Amazing. Love to hear that. Love to hear you cheat and say that it's the whole business. That's great.
Yeah.
The perfect panel, every question answered, every concern addressed. So thank you three so much for being here and telling us about your communication and collaboration systems. I think you've all built things that are very impressive and can teach a lot to people who are trying to build those things out. So can I get a round of applause for our panelists?